Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 meeting of the Yellow Springs Planning Commission. My name is Frank Doden, and I'll be chairing the meeting tonight. And we'll start things off by having the clerk call the roll, please.
All right, Doden.
Here.
Stiles.
Here.
Greene.
Here.
Zaremski.
Here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Thank you. Also present is Planning and Zoning Administrator Denise Swinger.
Okay, I'm just going to review the agenda for tonight, and it's a pretty light agenda. The first thing we'll do is review and go over the minutes of our last meeting. Then we'll talk about any communications. Were there any communications that we received for this packet? I don't think there were any. Then council and committee reports. Gavin, is there going to be a council report tonight?
I could give a very brief update.
Okay, sounds good. And is there active transportation? I saw it on the agenda. Is there going to be a report on that, or?
I was putting that on, Gary, as a placeholder. I wasn't sure whether you were up
okay.
or not, so no pressure.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, I don't have any updates.
Okay. Then we will have a period for citizens' comments, and that period is for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Then there's one consent agenda item for a minor subdivision of 110 East Center College Street. We have one public hearing, a conditional use application. Then we'll go over old business, new business, and agenda planning for our next meeting, and then adjourn. So it should be a fairly quick meeting tonight, I would think. So let's quickly, planning committee members, go over, review the minutes of the July 12th, 2022 meeting. It's just 2 pages. So does anybody have any corrections or changes necessary on page 1? Anything on page 2? Okay, I'll move that we approve the minutes for the Tuesday, August 20, or the, geez, what was that date?
Well,
I know, right?
Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 minutes.
I second it.
Okay, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Yes, Stiles.
Yes.
Greene.
Yes.
Zaremski.
I think I abstained because I wasn't there. Isn't that the proper?
Okay, yep.
Yes,
Approach.
indeed. Thank you.
Okay.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Doden.
Yes,
Thank you.
and we didn't have any communications, so there's nothing to review there. Council report, Gavin, do you want to give a brief update?
Sure. I think the only thing that's relevant from the last council meeting is that it was discussed some of the zoning recommendations would be there'd be a presentation at the next council meeting. And then it seems likely that there will be some referral to the planning commission. So just to give you all a heads up that that's in process. Judy, Denise, anybody else, if there's anything else that's relevant that I'm forgetting, please fill in. But that's the only thing that I recall that I thought you all might want to know about.
Yeah, Susan, did you have a question?
When is that council meeting?
I think,
It's
Judy,
16th,
isn't it?
19th.
Yeah, it's for
The
the,
19th of September. So
And
would it be helpful for us on Planning Commission to attend so that we hear that presentation?
You will hear that presentation. The understanding is that council would then send the issue on to Planning Commission for any kind of
Okay.
further discussion or action.
Okay.
But I mean, you're certainly not prevented from attending that meeting, watching it on Channel 5, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I just wondered if it would be helpful, if there'll be community feedback there that it might be good to hear.
Well, you would,
yeah,
Johnny,
well, yeah, I mean, I've already discussed this with the group that, it's going to have community feedback. So more than likely what I suggested that would need to happen was when council refers it to planning commission, then planning commission is going to have probably call for a couple of volunteers to create a subcommittee and work on this with that group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I misspoke because I forgot that Johnny isn't going to be at the next meeting. So it's 2 meetings from now.
Oh,
And
is
I'd be
it?
happy to send around the link to the, like with a notation of the minutes of that section of the online version, if anybody wants to watch that doesn't want to have to come in person.
I would like that.
Sure, I can do that. That'll be easy. I'll just send you the link with the timestamp of where to start.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Send it to me too,
yeah, just send it to everybody on planning.
to
Commission, I
everybody.
think.
Yeah.
So Gavin, you're saying it's the second meeting in September when they're coming to council?
Yeah, because the main person that wanted to give feedback was Johnny, and he's out of town for the next council meeting. So we are going to do it in 2 meetings.
Okay. All right.
And what date will that be? I'm sorry to be asking that.
I think that's the 19th.
19th.
That is the 19th. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Gavin. Okay, now we'll have the period for citizen comments for any items that are not on tonight's agenda. So if there are any people out there zooming along with us tonight that would like to comment on anything that's not on the agenda, please either electronically raise your hand or wave or yodel or something. We'll give you a few minutes to chime in. Seeing anything, Judy? Okay, well, we'll move on from citizen comments and go to the consent agenda item. Denise, you want to give us?
Yeah, you're familiar with this. This is Theo Stefan. She came before Planning Commission to do that educational dining project over there on East, is it Center College? Yeah. And so she ended up not doing that, and she's subdividing it into four lots for sale. And this is just that request.
So Denise, refresh my memory. If Planning Commission simply takes no action,
It's considered approved. But I know in the past, Judy, sometimes you've requested a vote, haven't you? No?
I
Okay,
don't think so.
okay, all right. Okay, because to me, that's taking action.
Yeah.
You know, so I was a little confused on that. So, okay. So by doing nothing, then it's deemed approved, and it'll be considered approved immediately. There's, I'll let her know.
Planning Commission members have any questions or concerns about this? Okay, so we just move on then? All right. Okay, and we're going to go to the public hearing, a conditional use application. Brady Glass has submitted a conditional use application for a home occupation permit, offering barber services at 127.5 Glen Street. Diane, would you give us a staff report on this, please?
Denise, okay.
Denise,
So-
I don't know where that came from.
It's all right. Although, did I hear that right? Anyway, so Brady has submitted an application to have as his home occupation to run his barber shop in his house. He is renting that property from Dunphy, and Teresa Dunphy has in the past also, you may recall, Jessica Houlihan, she had her massage therapy business in there. It's set up that way. It has a side door entrance. When we sent this information to Brady, it was our fault. We did not submit to him the home occupation requirements. So he had filled out the application, dropped it off, and then you can see on the application, we had to do a bit of modification of it. He came back and he understood, he couldn't do more than 40 people per week. He was okay with that. I don't see any issues with this. We didn't have any complaints with residents around that property with the massage therapy business. I don't expect any issues with this as well, but he's here, you can ask him questions.
Any members of the Planning Commission have any questions for Denise or Diane, either one?
I'll answer to both.
Anybody have any questions for Brady?
Yeah,
I actually have a
Okay, well,
question for Denise.
Okay,
So,
Go ahead.
yeah.
yeah, go ahead,
So,
Gary.
I'm just curious, the one, under the requirements, the stuff that you sent out, the whole thing about the number of client visits. The home occupation shall not entail more than 8 client visits per day or 40 per week. Blah, 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 blah. So does that mean, because it's or, not and?
Yeah,
That means
because
they need-
so the legal interpretation, because it's or, he could do more than 8 a day as long as he doesn't exceed
Yeah.
the 40 per week.
So in theory, I mean, this wouldn't happen, but in theory, he could have 40 visits in one day. And then that's all he could do that week, right?
Theoretically,
You're not
sure.
gonna do that?
Okay, yeah. And I wouldn't want a haircut after
But
I wouldn't want a
don't know.
haircut after about 15 or 20,
No,
but,
well, no, but because I don't know, if he had that many in one day, he might have some
Not physically possible.
neighbors asking about it.
yeah, okay. I just wanted, but that's the or, that's all I wanted.
Or, yeah,
clarification.
he's okay from a legal
Yeah.
perspective as long as it's not more than 40 per week. He's
I just
expected
wanted to make
keep the
sure,
law.
because to avoid that, no one at a later point would come and say, hey, this is violating such and such, but it's not. Okay.
I understand.
good.
It's a good question.
Susan, you had a
Okay,
question?
a question I had, which I'd been thinking about, is that if he were on Xenia Avenue in
Mhm.
the business area, he could have as many clients as he wanted. Is that correct? But
Right,
because,
yes, yes.
because this is, even though it's considered home occupation, the location is really, to me, almost it is in the business area of the town. Because the
Yeah.
drugstore is right there. We've had,
Yeah.
prior to, I don't know if the Dumpies owned it, but a long time ago, it was a restaurant, the Glen. I don't know if anybody lived in town then, I did. So it has been many, many things over the years. And when it was the Glen, I don't think they were limited by the number of people. Now, maybe our zoning code has changed because that was a long time ago. But I guess I just kind of question that of only 40, because it seems to me like he's in the business area and not in a
Yeah.
residential area.
I think in talking with our attorney about that question that Gary had, because I wanted to make sure before I suggested this to Brady that or means you can do either. And one of the things that she said was, once you go past 40, then that person probably would want to start looking for a shop. Because he's having that much clientele, he'd probably want to get to someplace. The issue for a lot of the personal service businesses in the downtown area is we just don't have space available. And one of the things I want to talk about with Planning Commission when we do the rewrite of some of these updates to the zoning code is, residential C, which encompasses all of Xenia Avenue and all of Dayton Street, allows for professional offices, but it doesn't allow for personal services. And I don't know if we want to have a conversation about that, because that might open up some other places. And I know the woman who had the hair salon downtown, she could have done that on a property on Xenia Avenue. She would have been able to keep her business in town, but she wasn't able to because it was not allowed in the code.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you. Then I had one for, is it Gary? I'm sorry. I
Brady.
forgot.
Brady.
Brady, I'm sorry, Brady. So Brady, you will be living there as well as having your shop there. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
so Brady, do you have set hours? Are there any limitations on the hours that somebody can
So, yeah,
work?
definitely. I've had a barber shop in Springfield for the last 13 years. Typically, I go Tuesday through Saturday. So I'm off Sunday and Monday. But the good thing about being at my house, see, I was doing a lot of Dave Chappelle's buddies that come in town, like Talib Kweli. I would do some of those guys, but it allows you to do it whenever they need. So like I have my clientele set pretty much. People will follow me here. So you can kind of pick and choose. It makes it more convenient for me. I won't have to turn anything down. I won't have to drive to Springfield. In the future, I would love to be on Xenia Avenue, but for right now, this gets me in Yellow Springs. I've been here for 5 years. It's something that this place needs.
Okay. So you no set hours, and Denise, there's no limit. There's no limit on the number of hours. Like you could have people at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I
As long
would never do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, at
No.
some point, as long as he's, you know, doesn't get any complaints, he's fine.
Yeah, I have a little boy. He's 8 years old. I would keep it business hours. You know, mostly it's so that he can stay at home. I don't have to drag him to the barber shop because it happens sometimes.
Okay.
But in the future, yeah, I would love to get a different spot here. But I just fell into this house in April, and Teresa had mentioned, she said, you can even put your chair here. Barbering is something now that people travel, people go do haircuts in hotels, in other people's houses. I visited Talib's house. You know, I did it in a guest house. It's kind of like that, but this will be a professional setup, and they have access to my back door, which is right up against the dog park. So they could even park in Keith Alley.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to bother my neighbors.
Okay. Well, and obviously nobody complained. So, you know, that's pretty good for Yellow Springs.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions or for Brady? Or Brady, do you want to say anything else? No? All seems pretty clear. Okay, I'm going to go ahead then and open the public hearing. So if there are any members of the public out there that would like to comment on this conditional use, we'll give you a few minutes to chime in, electronically raise your hand or wave. Seeing any activity, Judy? Yeah. Give them a couple more seconds. Okay, not seeing any public comments, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and then bring it back to Planning Commission. Does anybody have any additional questions or concerns? Would somebody like to make a motion? Susan? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. I'll make a motion that we approve the application for a home occupation permit offering barber services at 127.5 Glen Street.
A second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this application. Any discussion of the motion? Okay, would the clerk call the roll, please?
Yes, Stiles,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
Yes.
Zaremski,
Yes.
Greene,
Yes.
Doden.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much. And
Thank you,
thank you
Brady.
very much, Brady.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Good luck.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Like it says, is there anything on old business that we need to talk about? Anything there? New business noise ordinance update. This isn't roosters again, is it?
Right. Judy, I guess, Judy put that on there. Paige, Chief Page is working on wanting to revise our noise ordinance. So we're just kind of letting Planning Commission know that that might be coming to you, because often you look at text amendments. The problem with the noise ordinance, which I found to be problematic when we went through the whole issue with the rooster, was that it requires a noise compliant officer, and that person, to try to get that kind of training, it's really difficult. We do have the calibrated sound meters, which, you know, is fine. So she found an ordinance, I forget where, that kind of took out a lot of that stuff. I mean, would still have the decibels for what can be allowed during the daytime hours versus nighttime. And, but it wouldn't require to have this person that's trained.
It would
And
simplify
has-
the measuring of it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So we might be seeing that at some.
And
Judy, do you have
still,
anything to add?
still measurement right at the property line? Is that, the methodology doesn't really change?
That's a good
No,
question.
that
I
it was
didn't-
not right at the property line, I don't think, in this particular ordinance. It simplified it a great deal, but it also raised the decibel levels for some things, because some of the decibel levels in our ordinance are literally the pitch of laughter. If you're laughing loudly, you're exceeding the noise ordinance. So, I mean, it's just an unenforceable ordinance right now. So.
And I think this one more gives a little more discretion. Judy, do you agree with this? To like the police officer who goes there on the complaint can pretty much say, okay, this is too loud, turn it down. I don't think it gets into, I mean, there are some decibel levels. They can use the sound meter, but I don't know that it's all tied to that.
But we'll see it when it comes
We'll-
before us.
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So I'm just curious. So some of it, you'll add what I would call some subjective elements to the interpretation, as opposed to just,
No, let me not go too far into the
Yeah,
weeds with this, but maybe Judy, if could we send them a copy of that? Maybe
Well, what you should know is this is extremely preliminary. It's just something
Yeah,
that
okay.
I went around to
Yeah.
say. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
more what I'd like it to look like. And the new attorney then is gonna
oh, yeah.
write one that's Yellow Spring specific, that's really, she's taking that as the
It's
framework. Okay,
enforceable.
this is the kind of simplicity you want to build in instead of this extreme complexity, which we right now have.
Which makes it impossible. That's why we had so much problems on the rooster thing too. You just couldn't find somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was asking, I'm just sort of curious, because actually it's a long time ago, but I have a little bit of experience in, noise abatement and, acoustics and all that stuff. And just there's a real big difference between continuous noise sources, like machine noise and whatever,
Yeah.
and intermittent noise sources, which are sort of the cause, the source of much of the, discomfort people
Complaints.
have, whether it's a rooster or a motorcycle backfiring or
Yeah.
music that every third riff is too loud. But anyway, okay, just curious.
I'm gonna send it, I'm just sending it to you guys. This is just the ordinance from Green Hills, Ohio. So you just gives you kind of a baseline of what what we're comparing to.
All right, then the next thing is agenda planning. We have the final plat for the Spring Meadows on North Wright Street coming up.
So they are supposed to submit everything tomorrow. So that's what we're waiting for. There's probably going to be a couple things that we'll have to have conditions on. For example, they are asking the village to do the electrical engineering plan. And of course, we said, yes, we would do that, but they have to pay for it. So that'll be something that probably won't have that in time. Well, maybe we will. And let me not say, but if we have it in time to include it for the September 13th meeting packet, we will. But if not, then I would just ask for a condition on that, based on the finals of getting this submitted, you would go ahead and approve. So we'll find out soon, but yeah, so September 13th is supposed to finally be the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And just, I know you guys got the information that we've got a new solicitor. And so I have asked her if she would write you folks a memo about procedure, just because we've got sort of a change of people, and it would be good to have a good, clear memo from the person who's going to be at the table with you folks during that meeting. So you should have that ahead of the meeting.
Yeah, we've kind of been going over the ordinance a bit, and Judy and I are going to meet with her hopefully I got to set that up for sometime next week to try to also flush out everything that we need to make sure we are following
And
before we even go to this meeting.
right, and we're including Frank in that meeting. Is that the case? Or do you want a preliminary?
I can, yes. No,
Yeah,
I could,
that'd be good.
yeah.
Do we know when that'll be yet, or is that yet to
No, I'm
be set?
just gonna try to
Okay.
set that if I can tomorrow. See if
Okay.
I can set that up for next week.
Yeah. And the only other thing in this, I sort of just have thought, I mentioned it to Judy yesterday when we were talking, that I thought of randomly, but never any time where I was anywhere near where I could make myself a note about it. A few months ago, I think in January, we were supposed to vote on who is the chair of the planning commission. And I think we just neglected to do it. And I've just sort of continued being chair. I'm perfectly happy to continue chairing if people are comfortable with that, but going forward, but it just sort of struck me that we were supposed to vote on this as we do every January, and we just never did it. Yeah, Susan.
I'd like to make a motion that Frank is the chair of the planning commission.
I'll second that.
Okay, well, the clerk. can
At least
call the
have you,
roll, or
have you
we can-
finish out the year.
Or we can just say, but, well, so do we need to vote on this, or?
There's a motion on the table.
Certainly.
Yes. So, you want to call the roll then?
Sure. Greene,
Yes.
Stiles,
Yes.
Zaremski,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
Yes.
Doden.
Yay, Frank, congratulations.
Sorry, we
We sound
forgot
like that.
to do that in January when we were supposed to, but,
Well, now
All
since we're doing it now, maybe we should do it also for the following year.
no,
For him.
we'll do it again in January.
Yeah.
All right, that's everything that I had on the agenda. Anybody have anything else? All right, then I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Second.
Second, all those opposed, just wave, or all those in favor, just wave.
Oh, wave.
Okay. All right.
All
Bye.
those opposed, say nay. But
That
all
was
right.
a fast meeting, I'll tell you.
All
That was
right.
the record
All right.
books.
See y'all later.
Good night.
Bye.
everyone.